Well, Sharif, I guess it's just another late night of trying to catch up on your work and get some new concepts going.
ねえ、なんでそんなゴミ書いてんの？
Who said that?
私は言った。そのゴミを書くのをやめなさい。
Okay, that's enough. I'm gonna find you right now. Which one of you bastards was speaking to me?
話していたのは私です。私の強力な一族のデザインを呼び出さなければなりません。ガンダム L。幼稚な絵はやめて男らしく作ろう。
The hell did I put in my drink tonight? What's going on, everybody? The Real Sharif M here, aka Manganus Steel, with another video coming right at you. My socials are linked down in the comments and the description below. And if you're new here, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. It really helps me grow the channel, and it really helps with getting my videos out to the algorithm. Now, for today's topic, how many of you guys like anime? Now, I generally do. I don't have any that I'm like big on right now at the moment, but I enjoy it. I'm not like super obsessed with it, but the ones that I do tend to like tend to be more kind of like about mechanical things. And I have recently, within the last few years, gotten into building like Gundams, little Gundam models, from time to time, due to my buddy Joe, who I met in design school. And I always really wondered, what would a knife look like if it was designed by somebody who does anime, who creates these characters and these like mechanical figures. And I think I finally have, a knife here that really embodies that more than any I've ever seen before. Let me please introduce the Forever Steel Falcon L. Now, this guy is on loan to me from my boy Beard of Doom, and if you know Beard of Doom, you know that this is very much a Doom knife. And this thing is incredible. I mean, this is next level CNC work on a level that I could not even imagine. I mean, look at this backspacer. I believe that's a little tritium vial slot right there. And just crazy. It's got a little glass breaker right here. And just like the name suggests, the Falcon L, when it is closed, it does look like a bird of prey kind of perched on a wire. How dope is that, man? This thing is, without a doubt, one of the coolest little knives that I have ever seen. And despite all of its kind of odd sculpting that it has here, it's actually very comfortable in hand. Now, I'm not the biggest karambit guy, mainly because I believe if you have a karambit and you use a karambit, it should be something that you are properly trained in. In any sort of knife fighting scenario, you should be properly trained with the tool that you intend to use. But karambits also are very useful in the day-to-day, despite their menacing looks, because with this curved blade, they're really good at like taking down cardboard and even for cutting fruit and vegetables and things like that. Surprisingly, I know. That is a bit of the history of the karambit. It became a fighting knife, but it was originally a knife for working in the field. So this thing, though, takes that concept to an insane level. And I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera, but these colors right here are Damascus on both sides. And this thing is just so chock full of crazy details. I'm absolutely in love with this thing. And part of why I love it is because this is an aesthetic that I genuinely appreciate and love, but would have absolute difficulty executing myself. And I'm always impressed with people who can carve out a niche of an aesthetic that is completely unique and is something that I personally could never execute. Right? A lot of times when you are a designer, you kind of end up naturally having a style. You end up naturally having an aesthetic. That's why we can recognize knives from different knife makers, but also cars from certain brands, or architecture from certain architects, right? Like there's almost like your soul, your mind, all of this stuff, and your hand and pen just gel in such a way that you end up kind of locked into a style that you really is signature to you. And this, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below, was designed by King Freeman. And just, you can bathe in the details of this thing. It's like no knife I've ever seen before, and it's really like subtly well thought out here. Where can I begin? So you have this nice like primary bevel here, along with a chamfer here on the tip of the blade to help it with, kind of narrowing down. But it actually is a very reinforced blade. I don't know if this will be able to come through, but that is not delicate like you would see on a Fox karambit at all. That's actually a very robust blade tip, which is very nice to see. You have this little kink right here in the top of the blade that actually indexes your thumb perfectly, which is also fascinating, right? Because that right here is almost like a little bit of a wave feature, so that when you're pulling the knife out of your pocket, it can catch and deploy. Usually wave features are actually pretty uncomfortable. Like, you use them as a thumb ramp, and that's where you stop. But this one actually allows you to come over the top and use this little divot for your thumb to get more control, and it doesn't create a hot spot right here, which is really genius. It actually ends up being this like flat here that supports the middle section of your thumb. I mean, the thinking just in this section here is amazing. Really, like, I'm so impressed. I'm genuinely impressed. And even here, if you look at how this interacts with that section of my finger, if I want to use the tip here for some precision work, they have jimping, and it's incredibly comfortable. Like, if I need to do a draw cut, all of that is taken into consideration with this funky blade shape. And you can see that there's a fuller here, which, believe it or not, despite being like fairly shallow, it allows you to reverse flick the knife incredibly easy. So I'm already so impressed with the design of this knife. Despite it looking crazy, despite it looking like something you've never seen before in the knife world, the amount of thinking that has just been demonstrated in this section alone is tremendous, is absolutely tremendous. Now, when you go to the locking mechanism, that's another thing that took me by surprise. If you look here, Most karambits usually use a traditional lock mechanism, like a liner lock or a frame lock. But this guy almost uses a modified compression lock. So up front here, we see the smaller stop pin. And here we see a liner lock. But this liner lock interacts with this bigger stop pin further back to reinforce it from moving in the vertical axes. So this thing is almost behaving exactly like a compression lock and provides a very, very strong and robust lockup for this knife. And it impresses me even more. Then you have this little ramp right here, which if you're holding the knife back like this, gives you really nice fine control over the blade. It's nuts. It's surprising. Then aesthetically, I love the choice to do almost like a full-length back spacer here. It's really nice. They put the Forever Steel logo right here. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I believe this is a little cutout for a tritium vial, which just makes this thing that much cooler. The pocket clip is slim and discreet and does not create a hot spot in my hand in this grip at all. It's placed on the correct side for righties. So if you're deploying it and you're using it with the wave feature, it's right there, readily available. And the rest of this thing just sculpts in such a way that my index finger falls here, my middle finger falls there, or actually no, the index finger goes through here, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky. And my hand just locks into place. This is just such an impressively well thought out design, I have to say. And this is why, you guys may get a little frustrated with me when I really nail designers, or particular designs, because here is somebody who's really thought about every element of how this knife can be held, how it can be gripped, how it can be used, and accommodated for all of that, and still created something so visually stunning and unique. Whether you like the aesthetics, of this kind of cyberpunkish, anime-ish kind of look, that's completely up to you. You may not like it. I personally dig it. But even if you smoothed out all of this stuff and made it kind of more refined, looking kind of like my GRAZIOSO or something like a giant mouse, right? All these fundamentals would still be there, and it would still be ergonomically superior to many knives that I've handled on the day in and day out. And that's what makes this so impressive to me. Honestly, I am totally in love with this thing, and it's just, maybe I'm a little biased because my logo is of a falcon, but this is a falcon that I really would like to own. So I really got to say thank you to my buddy Beard of Doom. I'm going to link his channel down in the description below. If you like stuff like this, he has a mad collection of really, really dope futuristic looking knives. It's definitely worth checking out. But this thing is a masterpiece in its own right and really deserves a lot more attention and an acknowledgement for creating something truly unique, truly something I've never seen before. And I may need to try and snag one of these for my collection because, man, I appreciate the thinking on every single level.